What's up, everybody? Great to see you as always on the Glosso America YouTube channel. You know what to do. You hit like, you hit subscribe, you turn on your goddamn notifications, and then we get after it. Hi, hello, and welcome to your favorite Average Good podcast. Call it what you want. I'm Jimmy Conrad alongside Charlie Davies and Tony Meola, and we got a great show for you. We're going to preview our knockout round game, our first knockout round game of this 2026 World Cup against Bosnia. We're going to also talk about the path forward because things have changed since we last spoke here on the pod. But first and foremost, we got to get to Jesse Marsch, a former co-host of our show, is now leading the team in the World Cup, making history with Canada, and getting to the round of 16 after the Canadians beat South Africa 1-0. Big Tones, you and I discussed it a little bit earlier on Morning Footy, but I want to hear from our very own Charlie, Chuck, Jason Davies. Chuck, thoughts on Jesse Marsch creating history for the Canadians?
Incredible accomplishment. I'm thrilled for Jesse. You know, you lose a player like Ismail Kone that's so central to how they play, box to box, and a creator and a disruptor at the same time. Yet he adjusted, the team adjusted, and South Africa had some moments, but ultimately they controlled the game, and now they're going on to the knockout rounds, and they're going to play the winner of Netherlands-Morocco. So it feels like they've been able to achieve a lot of firsts for Canada, you know, get the first points, get the first win, get out of the group for the first time. Now it's house money for this Canadian side. They're going to be, you know, massive underdogs. And can they pull a little magic out to try and, you know, at least test Morocco or the Netherlands?
Yeah, I think they'll do that. I mean, I think Jesse will get them primed and ready to go. And so giving him his flowers for sure. Really well done, Jesse. We're proud of you. Big Tones, any extra additional thoughts on that? Because not only Ismail Kone kind of missing most of the tournament, same with Alphonso Davies. So he's really gotten a lot of this group despite missing some of their best players.
Yeah, and you mentioned the missing Alphonso Davies is the one you and I chatted earlier this morning. So it's either going to be Dumfries on one end of things, right? And that would be an incredible matchup. And who was the other one we said? I forgot.
Hakimi.
So it's either Hakimi,
Hakimi versus Davies or Dumfries versus Davies.
So you want Alphonso Davies to be 90 minutes fit in this thing. But yeah, congratulations to Jesse. You just said before, after what we did this morning, we were getting killed for what we said about Jesse. I don't
it was just in reference to his kind of like your Canadian heroes speech, and just that we had even highlighted that. So we talked about it on Morning Footy. If anybody wants to go back and watch or listen to it, I actually think it's on the pod.
What exactly within that speech after the game?
I mean, just whether it was performative or not. You know, for me, Jesse's very smart, so he knows exactly what he's doing at all times. He knows.
Oh yeah,
we're watching him.
Oh, you're saying did he do it for show rather than just doing that in the locker room?
Right.
But remember, he did that with Salzburg in the Champions League. That famous speech he had before one of the games. So
and
obviously,
I don't know.
Remember, he got killed for doing on the field.
Yeah, that's part of his.
That's how he coaches. Yeah, it's fine.
I think he's trying to sell himself at the same time, you know, and raise his profile. But you know, it kind of gives a look at how he talks to his players, how the group feels about him. So, yeah, I mean, it's not everyone's cup of tea. I can tell you that right now. So there are going to be people who say you could call them haters or just traditionalists, however you want to describe the people that say, man, this is just for the cameras. This is for show. You know, he's just trying to, you know, make it about himself rather than the players. But
hey, it's
at
working.
the end of the day, they're moving on. So
So we can't. Nobody can say anything. He's got the team where they want him. They're playing at a high level. They're doing it without some of their best players, and we'll see how they do against Netherlands and Morocco. And we're really proud of him. I mean, he started here. These humble beginnings here. I call it.
We developed the foundation for Jesse to really take off.
We gave him the showmanship to actually go out there and give one of those speeches. He wouldn't have had those repetitions without us here on camera, week in and week out. All right, let's talk about the path to the final because it got a little bit harder after all the match day 3 scenarios played out. And so when we
Egypt
beat Bosnia, for a while it was Iran and Egypt on the bottom of it. And now it's Senegal and Belgium. And so if and when we get past Bosnia, then we're just kind of talking hypothetically here. But Senegal or Belgium. What's interesting is we faced both of these in friendlies recently, Senegal or Belgium. There's a part of me, who would I rather face? I guess that's the big question. I'll go first. I'd rather face Belgium. They don't look very good this tournament. We'll have some revenge factor after losing 5-1. And the narratives just feel better there. And I think we can get after it and we'll have something to prove. Not to say we wouldn't have the same against Senegal, but I don't think Senegal's played their best game. And that's what gives me some concern, that at some point they're going to get it all figured out for 90 minutes. And if Koulibaly and Mendy can just be a little bit more airtight in the back, then I think they could be really difficult to play against. That's me. Chuck, where are you? Who would you rather face?
I think they're both going to be extremely difficult.
No, of course.
And there isn't an advantage to playing one versus the other. I'd say still Belgium has more of a complete team, and defensively, I think they're a little bit more sound. Senegal are going to be tough to break down, no doubt, but they do give you openings. So, obviously we've seen what Sadio Mane can do in that friendly, which is great for guys like Tim Ream to have and by the way, Chris Richards wasn't playing in that game, but for Tim Ream to know exactly how Sadio Mane is moving, it's really etched in his brain, how he moves, how he runs, his pace, and his finishing ability. So given that, you'd still want to face Senegal if you had to pick the two. It's not an easy choice, but Belgium offers, I think, a lot of problems. And by the way, Leandro Trossard is their best player at the moment. So that's the player that you got to nullify just because he's so good at playing in between the lines and creating opportunities for them.
I guess the same rhetoric could be used for Belgium. They haven't played their best game yet either, Big Tones, right? Where you can see it all. They just haven't put that like full 90-minute performance together. And maybe they do it against each other in the round of 32.
Well, to answer your question, I want to face any of them, right? I don't care who it is at this point. We've got to get there because I think this is a really tough game we're up against. But yeah, they're both those teams. They're talented. You get to the final 16 of the World Cup. Does anyone expect anything to be easy?
No, it shouldn't be easy, right?
Hell no.
You're right. Yeah. You're right. It shouldn't be easy, right? This is the World Cup. This is the cream of the crop and all that stuff. And it's not going to be easy. I do think there's something to be said. You could say for any of these teams outside of Bosnia, obviously you got to get there. But for Belgium and Senegal, as much as we're saying, okay, we've seen them before, we have a little idea, they're saying the same thing, right?
Yeah,
we've seen them before. We have an idea. They've got a good sample size. I think the U.S. has shown a lot of their cards and how good they can be in this competition, where the other two haven't. We saw Senegal, Jimmy. You and I saw them twice, right, live. Yeah. And what did we leave both games saying? Just like you opened with, they haven't played their best yet.
Yeah,
like they got more in the tank. They got some players in that team. Now, who knows? Sometimes you get to a tournament, as you know, and you don't play your best at the tournament, and you go home, right? But yeah, either one's going to be tough, and I'll play. I'd love to see them play against anybody right now.
Yeah. No, and especially if we got some momentum by beating Bosnia, the longer we go in the tournament, the more tidal wave of support we're going to get from everybody here in the States, and that's going to be fantastic. I will say, when we look at just the other paths of Paraguay, they're taking on Germany, and if they beat Germany, most likely they'll take on France. So that's not a more desirable path. Australia is playing Egypt, so maybe there'd be a conversation that's manageable, but then they'd most likely play Argentina in the next round. So there's, like you said, there's no easy path. Once you get to the round of 16, for sure, you're going to be running into some big boys. And hey, if you want to, what's the phrase? You want to be the best, you got to beat the best. Overall, though, if we get past Bosnia, and when we get past Bosnia, it'll be Belgium, Senegal, most likely Spain or Portugal, most likely France, and then Argentina in the final, if we had to project out in terms of that. Yeah, that's a hell of a road, but that's how it's going to be for most of the teams. And so I guess the concern now is, let's focus a little bit just on Bosnia and European opponents. Let's say Belgium is the team we end up facing. And Chuck, I'll come to you. We have a 10-game losing streak versus European teams since the end of the 2022 World Cup. And Pochettino's record versus European teams is we have 6 games and 6 defeats. Does that give you any concern? Whatever, just that's out the window and it doesn't matter. Bosnia is the lowest rated team or ranked team of the European nations in this competition.
I think it's a crock of bollocks.
I love that you took a pause to find the right word there.
Love it, Chuck.
Yeah.
You know, get out of here with that. I'm feeling good about that one. For me, that could have been avoidable had we played our strongest team. Like if you really want to, if you thought that was so important heading into the knockout rounds, you play your strongest team against Turkey outside of the guys with the yellows, and you say, let's do it. No, I don't think you're thinking about the European record. I don't think you're thinking about Europe versus CONCACAF at all in this tournament. I think this group is so confident. They're so focused. They're so locked in. They're not going to take Bosnia lightly, which they shouldn't. And I think they're going in with the right mentality to do whatever it takes to win this game. That's the mentality that Pochettino has helped this group with. Just the energy, the intensity, the belief. And so they believe they can win this game, but they know they have to earn it. So I don't think they're looking into it at all.
All right. Any stock in that then, Tones? Because that's not a great record. 10. It's not even like we got a draw. We've lost all 10 of those games.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
And that I'm like, God damn it, that pisses me off.
just because I want to use it, I'm just gonna say that's a crock of bollocks, man. I just wanted to use that saying. That's all. I really don't think it matters at this time. Sorry, Chuck. It sounded so good, man. I don't think you can put any stock in any of the things that happened before. This is a different competition. Okay, I guess we got to look at it, and I'm sure they're going to try and understand why. We can go back to every single game and break them down individually, but now is their time to break that streak right now. And I can't imagine that that's ever going to come up in any conversation as they prepare for Bosnia and Herzegovina.
The Crocker-bolics or just
Crocker-bolics, yeah.
Matt Crocker-bolics is the joke happening in our private chat right now, which is funny. We got to get Matt Crocker on the show. Maybe he'll come on after the World Cup is all said and done.
He said he would.
Okay, great. We'll make sure he comes on and he explains himself a little bit, because I'd love to get some context on some of his decision making and what he saw ultimately as he was building some of the infrastructure behind the scenes for U.S. soccer. So really, here's the big question for everybody watching live on the Gloss America YouTube channel. We appreciate you as always. We want to get your thoughts on this. Does this now change your expectations, given our losing streak against European nations, given our path is a little bit more difficult than it was after match day 2 when we thought it would be Egypt and Iran on the bottom side, and it just looked like we had the more favorable path, and then obviously match day 3 happened, and we have who we have now. For me, round of 16 was where I started. Then after the match day 2 scenarios, I was like, we quarterfinals looking good. We'll see you in the quarterfinals, Spank. And now I'm like, maybe round of 16 is now the line again. I mean, quarterfinal is where I hope that we get. Round of 16 feels, I definitely want to get there and then play well, and then we'll see what happens. But I do think we can beat both Belgium and Senegal, but obviously one game at a time. Does it change I'll go to you, Tones, on this one, because I know that I think you had quarterfinals set from early on. Like that's what you're always going for. Does this path change, or any of our records in history against these European teams change anything for you?
Nope. I come into this game just scouting one team over 3 games and the other team over 3 games and come up with a conclusion and what I think it's going to look like, right? And I think we've kind of all done that. I haven't looked 6 months ago. I haven't looked at the record over the last 10 games. I don't think it matters in the end. I think these two teams are deserve to be here. First of all, they have a clear identity. U.S. high tempo, really good on the counter press, players that are playing confidently, wingers that are playing confidently, Destin and Christian Pulisic, a Bosnia side that's going to sit back, dangerous as hell on the counterattack, and really good on restarts. And they defend their asses off the entire game. They're throwing bodies all over the place. That's what I expect the game to be. And the team that executes their game plan the best likely will win the game.
All right, so we got a question here. Chuck, I'll let you take this one. This is from Bogey Betts. It says, for this team to show up when it really counts, we need 2 more big wins. Anything less is a failed World Cup. As a reminder, we've only won one knockout round game in our history. And I know now with the expanded 48 teams, it maybe you don't run into somebody as tough as you could in the round of 32, but you still had to win these win or go home opportunities. And we've only won one in our history, and that was against a familiar opponent in Mexico in the round of 16 in 2002. Do you agree here with Bogey Bets?
Bogey Bets, I'm fully in agreement with you. So you couldn't have made it more crystal clear. Before this tournament, I'm talking before I saw where this team was. You hire Mauricio Pochettino on a home World Cup, take out the players. The expectation is quarterfinal. That's it. Now you're telling me after that game 1, Paraguay, and the way that we played, that to me raised the stakes a little bit. I think we can get to a semifinal. So you're telling me we got to beat Bosnia, which I think we should on home soil. I think we're a better team regardless. Now, Belgium, that's for me, this isn't the Belgium of 2014. This isn't the Belgium of 2018. This is not the golden generation Belgium. This is the guys at the end of their career, a lot of experienced guys, but at the end, for the most part, and I'd say we match up very well with them. The friendly is not a real result of where these teams are. Should we beat them on home soil? If we play the way we played against Paraguay, we get by Belgium. Now we're talking quarterfinal. Can you get to a semifinal? And most likely it's Portugal or Spain, right? One of the two. If we play, again, the way we played against Paraguay with that belief and you have a little bit of luck, why not? I'm fully bought in. I believe in this group. I believe in these players. If they play to their potential, and again, it's not based off of one player. It's not Christian saving the day or Balogun saving the day or West. They all have to play at a super high level like what we saw against Paraguay. If they do that, I think we can get to a semifinal. I love that. I'm fully on board with this team.
Yeah, it's hard. That Paraguay game was intoxicating. We're so dominant in every 100%. Facet of the game. And also what I liked about the Australia game is that it didn't go as smoothly, but we still found a way to win. Right?
Yeah, I don't want to minimize the Australia game at all, because just old school, just from our teams, our generations, get the job done, whatever it took. And the way that Australia plays, they're going to make it ugly. They're not a talented team. They're a team, but they don't have individual quality that would overwhelm you by any stretch of the imagination. So you can't play the way that you normally would in a lot of situations. By the way, go back to 2022 when they played Argentina in the knockout rounds. They made it difficult too, and that's against the world champions. They won the World Cup, so that it's a team that's supposed to make it difficult, and we did our job. So I don't want to minimize that at all.
No. I wasn't trying to intimate that you were. I thought the first half in particular, it was a little choppy. But we did the job, and we were still making similar type actions and building certain sequences that looked very similar to what we saw in Paraguay. But we scored some goals as well, and I liked that version of us. There was also a version in the Turkey game. I think there's some positives to take away from that. We're down 2-1. Can we find our way back into the game? Because we might see that situation at some point. I'm sure we will. We'll be down a goal at some point throughout this run, especially if you want to get to a semifinal. So having the ability to figure out how we're going to get back into it, I think is important as well. And then I think there's a learning lesson at the end of the Turkey game. Hey, it's 2-2. How do we manage the last couple minutes here to make sure that we lock things down? And all that's going to be really important. And I think this is good information for the coaching staff and the players to know. Just like we lost to Germany 2-1. Had some good actions in that game, but we lost. We took our learnings from that, and we became a better team. The next 90 minutes out of that, the Germany game was the Paraguay game. So I'm hopeful that we'll take the 90 minutes from Turkey, learn from it. I know it's a different group, but then figure out how we can get stronger moving forward. Tones, bring us home on this one.
Jimmy, Tones, before I got to address this comment from Philonyeforo 1493. He's like, do you remember, Jimmy? I was fully bought into the U.S. beating the Netherlands in 2022 in that World Cup. And one, because of the England draw, I thought, okay, it's given this team confidence that they can play against the best teams in the world in this World Cup. And it was a gutsy win against Iran. I thought Greg Berhalter in that game against the Netherlands would be more defensive and more compact and play on the counter, but he flipped it and went, let's be super aggressive and try and press and get an early goal, which then ultimately crushed them because they were exposed. But I thought if the tactics were different, maybe they could have done what Australia did with Argentina, be a little bit more defensive-minded, frustrate the Netherlands, and then hit them on the counter. But obviously it didn't go that way. But if you're comparing where the team was then to now, they're in a different stratosphere.
Yeah. So Tones, your final thoughts on this, because after the break, we're going to get into this game against Bosnia in more detail.
Yeah, look, this particular matchup to me, and how we move forward, I don't know that they have any correlation at all. I'm trying to think about this pathway. I'm trying to think about, like, we did our what do you call it, the brackets, right? Trying to think about like where everyone went with the U.S. There was only one person that didn't pick. That was John Buckets, who we now have a bet with, our betting expert. So I'm trying to like relate everything together. The 10 games.
He said we're losing at Bosnia?
He did.
He did. He was the only one that I've gotten. And we've got a bet with him now, right? He's got to get a tattoo of Jimmy and I. If he doesn't, we're going to donate to his
animal shelter.
Is it an animal shelter, right? I thought it was just a dog shelter, an animal shelter.
I would have taken that bet too.
Yeah. Anyway, poor guy. But I'm trying to relate it all, and I keep coming back in my head to like none of it matters to me. Like because I think the three of us all do the same thing, right? We all go, let's put ourselves in the player's shoes. Like you're in the dressing room right now, right? Does any of it matter right now? Like none of it does to me. It's a confident group. Like Charlie, I'm behind the group. My expectation has always been the same. Before I saw a bracket, before I saw first game, it's always and will always be get to the quarterfinals and see what can happen. None of that changes for me. It just doesn't change. So, I mean, I know we can bring up all these numbers. This is the World Cup knockout round. We just saw a Brazil side that, God, they must have been worried about 45 minutes into this one against Japan because they weren't in the game. That's the way it could look for the U.S.
Yeah, but your maestro came through, Carlo Ancelotti, a little change. I don't know if it was by design, but obviously Paquetá comes out with an injury. Now, I don't think Paquetá should be in that team regardless, whether he's fully fit or not. He
looks a little slow. Yeah, he looks
a little slow. And so that's why completely changed.
Pochettino, that's why we're paying him the big bucks, right? He's got to help us beat Bosnia. He's got to help make good in-game changes.
That's my point.
That's why you pay these guys the big bucks.
And this is why I always say, and I know it's the trite saying, but I always judge the thing after, right? I always judge the manager after the fact, because how can we really judge that? Has Pochettino done a really good job with this group right now? 120%, right? He's done an incredible job. But in the end, if they lose against Bosnia, what's going to be the narrative? He failed in his job, right? That's why we say we judge it at the end. But with this particular group, I don't know, man. I'm the guy that's always trying to be sort of the level-headed one with the way I think about games, the way I look at them. There's a sense with this team. And there's a sense that if it's a big FU to like guys like us who have called the games like we saw them during the last four, and they weren't good enough, and CONMEBOL, in that competition, the Copa America, the Nations League, maybe they were pissed off at everyone for what they did. They finally rolled up their sleeves and said, you know what, F you guys, F all of you. I don't know, but they look a different team than the team that we were covering for the last 2 years, right? They look a completely different team.
No, and it's hard to argue otherwise. That Paraguay game in particular was really special. All right, two more things before we hit the break. We had a poll on our Golazo America YouTube channel. Who would we rather face in the round of 16? 58% of the voters said they'd prefer to face Senegal. And then we have an image of a suggested tattoo for Buckets to put on his leg, apparently. Hey, it's me and Big Tones getting after it after we won the Open Cup back in
That's right. Oh, it was Open Cup. Yeah.
That's right. That's a great photo. It's an all-time classic. All right, we're going to take our first break of the show. When we come back, we're going to get into our preview, the U.S. versus Bosnia.
Soccer isn't a new game in the United States. The immigrants brought it here in 1912. the opportunity to play for my country. I just could not pass that up.
We're all very proud of you.
Not everyone is aware of what happened in important historical moments for American soccer.
I was the kid that shouldn't have made it. Kid from Nacogdoches, Texas.
Clint Dempsey Doodle.
Kind of one of those things I wasn't going to be denied.
People criticize me often.
You can't take it seriously. It's the USA.
But I get to have that attention because I'm good.
We were carrying the weight of American soccer on our shoulders.
I'm gonna put a shot.
Probably unfair to 20 guys.
When he looks at you, he looks like he wants to kill you. And I have respect for that.
It's about how much are you willing to give to win.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown.
The USA has realized its dream. Dempsey through the wall. What can this kid do?
Paramount Plus is your one stop for the best documentaries in American soccer. You don't know where I'm from, dog. The story of Clint Dempsey is one of several docuseries, along with Pulisic, a 9-part docuseries, which gives you a behind-the-scenes look into the life and story of U.S. star Christian Pulisic. And Billion Dollar Goal, a 3-part docuseries focused on the biggest game-changing moment in American soccer history. Shout out to Big Tones on that one. Multiple eras, one passion. Trace the evolution of U.S. soccer from the very beginning with the U.S. Men's Soccer Trilogy. Stream every era exclusively on Paramount Plus. All right, welcome back into the show. I'm Conrad alongside Chuck, Chase, and Chuck and Big Tones. And guys, it's time for our preview of the U.S. men's national team versus Bosnia and Herzegovina in the round of 32 of the 2026 World Cup. And where do we begin? Big Tones, I'm going to come to you first. The last time we met this team was back in 2021, and it was a U.S. men's national team win. Cole Bassett scored. It was a friendly. So none of the big names were available. It wasn't an open FIFA window, but we won that one 1-0, which is actually our last win against European competition. They also have a player named Esmir Baraktarovic, who has one cap with the U.S. men's national team. He elected to go play for Bosnia and switch allegiances. And so we lost that game that he played 1-0 to Slovenia. So there's a couple little tie-ins here, but that's kind of our recent history.
You would switch too if you weren't going to play.
No, of course I don't.
Right?
You're right. I 100% agree with his decision.
You could go down the list. Obed Vargas,
Brian Gutierrez,
Brian Gutierrez. These guys weren't going to play with this national team currently. So especially if you have a guy who's in your spot, like Esmir Baraktarovic, for instance. If he knew it was between him and Christian Pulisic, and in terms of just playing, or him and Malik Tillman, or they're not playing with wingers in a situation where, hey, they're not even going to play my position on the pitch in a formation. Do I want to sit here and wait for the next World Cup? And by the way, it's just a hope, maybe that Pochettino stays, and I don't even get a chance. Versus, you know what? I'm going to go. I think that was the smart decision for him. By the way, he went to PSV. He's starting to develop, and it's great to see.
Yeah, he started every single game for Bosnia so far in this World Cup, so it's very cool for him. And Brian Gutierrez making an impact, and Obed Vargas making an impact for Mexico as well. So we wish them the very best. So Tones, I'll come to you first on this. What are something that we should know, or the U.S. men's national team should know, or all of our fans that are listening? Like, how should we start to look at this game? In terms of who we should be paying attention to from your perspective for Bosnia?
Well, I think for the first thing, we look at the formation. They're going to play in a 4-4-2, right? Sit back a little bit deeper, really good defensively, really, really organized. I've been telling you for a couple of days, I love the two center backs, Marinovic and Katic, right? Katic is the one that I actually like the most. The other center back's getting more of the love because he's got more blocks. He's got more headed clearances, having sat out a game. Remember, he got the red card against Switzerland. I think it was 1-0. He gets the red card on the dog show. Then the game ended up, and this is all in the last 15 minutes of the game, was 0-0. Game ends up 4-1 for Switzerland. So kind of changes sort of the vision you have of Bosnia and the way that they played, because that game was a little bit closer. Remember, I saw them and watched them like a lot of people did against Italy, right? After they beat Wales, I believe, and then Italy. And you look at their team, and there's not a standout player. As a matter of fact, Baraktarovic against Italy was the biggest standout player there, taking players on 1v1 the entire game. DiMarco was pinned back. I would expect that that's what he's going to try and do if Anthony Robinson doesn't have him pinned back in his half for portions of the game. I think the one thing that will be evident, a couple of really big, strong guys, Dzeko up top, who's been doing it for years, 40 years old. I mentioned the two center backs, really big, strong, sort of I call them old school type center backs, right? No frills type center backs. So they have a little bit of that, really good on restarts. But I don't see us being outmatched sort of athletically with speed, hawking the ball, those types of things, the things that we've been really good at for a couple of games here in this World Cup. I don't see that changing. There's been a couple of there's Sunjic and Tahirovic in the midfield. They've switched. They've basically played a game and a half each. Outside of that, and the red card, of course, there hasn't been many changes to this lineup. So I don't see any surprises lineup-wise for this team, nor do I think we will see any for the U.S. as we were chatting about. And I think all kind of agreed it would look, Chuck, like we saw against Paraguay.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in before we get to you, Chuck, because I know you're going to focus on some of their talented young wingers. One of them we've already discussed. I think what's interesting about this team, and I love all that insight, Big Tones, because I think their center backs are beasts. One of them plays at Schalke, the other one plays at Sassuolo, got a lot of minutes playing in Europe. So they're just good, tough defenders, hard-nosed defenders. It's going to be hard to break down. And so it's going to be a good challenge for Balogun to see how he creates space and everybody around them. For me, what I've been really impressed with this team is just kind of how they hang around in games. When I look back at their World Cup qualifying, they were in a group with Romania, Cyprus, San Marino, and Austria. They went to Romania in the first game of it. They won 1-0. They beat Cyprus. They beat San Marino twice. They lose to Austria at home, but that's their only loss out of all these games. They drew with Cyprus, beat Romania again, and then drew with Austria away from home. They find themselves in the playoff. They're down against Wales. They come back and score. They win in penalties. They're down against Italy. They come back and score. I know Italy, Bastoni got a red card, which helped them, but they still had to figure it out, win in penalties. Then they play one of the host nations in the first game of the tournament. They end up tying that 1-1. Then they play against Switzerland, who I think Switzerland are sneaky good, and we've already seen evidence of that in our friendly a while back. But that was 0-0 through 75 minutes. They get scored on, and this is where I think we could potentially take advantage. And to your point a little bit here, Big Tones, they got scored on a second action. It was a set piece. They kind of fell asleep on the next part of that when it got cleared out, and then that's when Switzerland scored. Then they get the red card, and then Switzerland just opens it up, and they score a couple goals. So that feels a little bit it's a bigger victory than it maybe should have been given the circumstances, or I guess given the circumstances, I'm not surprised, but it should be taken into consideration. And then they did what they needed to do against Qatar. They win that one, and they booked their ticket to here. They're always hanging around. They've got these intangibles. They got this toughness to them. They got this ability to hang when things get adverse, and they're going to be under it again, especially against us. So I wonder how much of that experience against playing against Canada with the home nation just down your throat the whole game, and how that impacts, or just their comfortability now going into this. So I think they've got the intangibles down where they're going to be comfortable no matter what the situation looks like. And that makes them a bit scary in some capacity. All right, Chuck, throwing it to you, because I know that you want to talk about the attacking players for Bosnia.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's thinking Edin Dzeko, but again, he's older. Very similar to Romelu Lukaku when we talk about big strikers who have had an incredible career. But they're on the backside of their career. They're not very mobile. They're big targets. If you give them a free opportunity in the box, they will most likely make you pay. But they're not going to be creating anything. They're not going to be running the channels. Very predictable movement. But obviously their soccer IQ is high, and they're not relying on their movement or their legs. They might rely on their physicality within a 5-yard radius, but that's about it. I'm going to be focusing on the guys who create those opportunities for Bosnia. And we talked about Esmir Bayraktarovic, very silky smooth dribbler, probably not known for his end product just yet. He's still maturing. He's still growing in that respect. But the other player is Karim Alaibegovic, who scored an absolute screamer against Qatar in that last group stage game. But again, a young dribbler. Those are the two players that can beat you on the dribble, which then forces your back line to kind of go into panic mode, or at least can go into panic mode because dribblers can cause a lot of problems. And when we're talking about Esmir Baraktarevic, he finished top 5 in dribbles per 90 in UEFA World Cup qualifying. That's pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, that's good.
Doku and Antonio Nusa from Norway were kind of in their own stratosphere. And then you had Kavica Kvaratskhelia right under there, Kenan Yildiz, and then it's Esmir Baraktarevic. Think of the names that are on that list for the top 5. So I know it's sometimes you're thinking, Esmir Baraktarevic, New England Revolution, he actually didn't even get the time he deserved at the Revs. I'm surprised they got as much as they did from PSV, to be honest. But he had been performing with Bosnia, which is kudos to Ernie Stewart for seeing that before his price tag probably would have went a little bit higher. And then at PSV, in the times that he's been able to get on the pitch, he's looked pretty sharp. So he's still maturing, he's still developing, and he's a top dribbler. So that's when I think of Bosnia, that's where the chances will come in throughout the run of play.
All right, let's take a look at their projected 11 then. And Tones, you can kind of walk us through this. I think that we haven't mentioned Demirovic, who's going to play and partner with Dzeko up top. He's the one that's going to most likely provide a little bit of that running in behind, so Dzeko can stay a little bit more central and look to combine by dropping into midfield. And then Alai and Baraktarevic can be the ones that can also help try to create overloads out wide. And your center backs you brought up before. Anybody else stand out for you?
Yeah, Kolasinac, the left back we see week in and week out in Serie A, right? He's the captain. He's sort of the experienced head, if you will, along with Dzeko, but he's the guy in the back that's got the most experience. And you and I chatted earlier today about the wing play, right? Christian Pulisic on one side against Dedic. Kolasinac will have to face Serginho Dest. Kolasinac is a hard tackler. He gets into things. He likes to leave a boot in. He's got energy. He was cramping up in the first game, if you remember, against Canada. I don't remember how hot it was. I know it was a sunny day, but I think it was like 70th minute of the game or something, right? So maybe it was just on the day. So you got to put him under a lot of pressure. And I think that's where we can make the most hay, right? The two young guys you mentioned, the two outside midfielders, love to get forward, right? Now it's a battle. It's a battle between having the ball enough and pinning those guys back as much as you can. And I think we could make a little bit of hay in those areas on the field. So
Tones,
yeah.
Just to build off that, I'd say I'd love Anthony Robinson's matchup on the opposite side too. Because I know Christian's going to be putting Dedic under a lot of pressure. But if you're telling me Esmir Baraktarevic has to defend Anthony Robinson, good luck, Bosnia.
You're right.
He's not a defender at all, and he can't keep up with Anthony Robinson. So that's one area where the U.S. could absolutely bully Bosnia.
Well, I actually think – sorry, Tones. I was going to jump in and say Alex Freeman, because of his movement, could also – now you're forcing Dzeko to maybe have to defend a little bit, which – would be fantastic to get that guy moving and doing a little bit more. But then Alai Begovic too. I mean, if you can get their young guys having to defend deep because we're creating overloads out wide, this is a good situation to be in. And so let's get into our projected 11 here, Tones, because we all want it to be the same as Paraguay. And now you can kind of emphasize those areas where you think we can get overloads.
Yeah, it's Dest and Pulisic are the key, right? And of course, the relationship on the left-hand side for us is a little bit different between Pulisic and Robinson than it is between Dest and Freeman. I feel like Anthony Robinson has the green light, right? Go all the time, because we know Christian, if he takes a guy on, be behind him for a cross, or if he takes a guy inside, you're the guy that goes around the corner. Where I think Freeman has to read the game a little bit more, right? Because he's got a little bit more defensive responsibility. So he's always kind of playing off of Dest. He's always kind of playing off of Tillman. And I would think the key to him going is not only reading the game, but when Tyler Adams says, you know what, and whether he says it with his mouth or he says it with his actions and where he is, where Tyler Adams says, okay, Alex, you can go now, right? I got you covered. So we're kind of we put it as a 4-2-3-1. I don't necessarily see it that way when I watch the game. Like I see it more as a 3-4-3, if you will. But Pulisic will start there oftentimes, but I think He loved the operation for him is in that channel going from the sideline almost in a straight line to a goal in that angle. Like, I think that's where he wants to play. Dest is I love watching him play, man, because he just has a different interpretation of the game. I think that the tighter the spaces are, the more fun he has playing. He wants to play in a phone booth all the time, and he loves getting out of those situations. And how Alex Freeman at this young age has figured out already just balance. How do I balance out Sergiño Dest and the guys in front of me? It's been amazing to watch. The trajectory has been like this for the last couple of months for Alex Freeman.
All right, so for everybody listening, just to give you a reminder of what that lineup looks like, I should have nailed it before. Matt Friesen goal in the back three. We got Tim Ream, Chris Richards, and Freeman. Our wingbacks will be Jedi and Sergiño Dest. The 2 6s, most likely Adams and Tillman, and then Christian and Weston are kind of floating in behind Fuller and Balogun. That'll be what we expect to see. That's what we hope to see. Chuck, your thoughts on this starting 11? And really, give me 1 or 2 players you think are going to be the most vital for us, given how you believe Bosnia is going to set up and try to play.
Well, one, I love this lineup. I think Pochettino has struck gold, even just the little wrinkles with Tillman sitting back a little bit deeper, especially given if we're playing against a team that's maybe inferior when we're talking about possession, which I think will outpossess Bosnia. Then Tillman dropping deep to have a little bit more space in front of him and play those passes, then get up forward alongside Weston and Christian. I love it. And I love the interchanging between Weston and Malik. That's been phenomenal. But to Tony's point early on, we can bully them down the wings. And so the wide areas, I think we have to own those channels. The relationship with Christian and Anthony, as well as Freeman and Dest, those keeping with to create more space underneath for Christian, Weston, Malik is going to be paramount for us. So I think that's where I'm going to be watching this game. I think it's going to be one in those wide areas, because also whether you're winning fouls or conceding fouls, that's also going to be a big part of it, because we cannot give up set pieces in our defensive third. And then similar to our attack and some of our weapons, we need to win some fouls in those wide areas, because one will give them yellow cards early, and we want to continue to keep testing them. How do they deal with our pacing behind? How do they deal with our 1v1s? How do they deal with overlaps and overload? So, yeah, I feel really good about this game.
Yeah, and I think it's been beneficial for us to have Paraguay and Australia as opponents, because I feel like those games will gave us some ideas about how we can solve a low
and Turkey. I think there's a lot of benefits to that loss. And I'm not even looking at the end result, because we kind of know, all right, if there was ever a throwaway game, and it was not a throwaway game, there's so much value that came from that match. The fight to get back into the match, and then some of the players who stepped on the pitch and didn't rise to the occasion. And so now Pochettino has an idea of, okay, guys that he can trust, guys that he feels pretty good about, and some of the mentality to get back into that game when it was so lost in that first half. So I think there's a lot of value in that. And just some of the players that they played against, Arda Güler and Kenan Yildiz. And then if they're in certain situations within the game, all right, how do you deal with a player of that quality? Because there were times where, Arda Güler made some people look foolish. So I think, to your point, the rough housing that goes in the game, the trying to get under your skin and trying to get you to react, we overcame those situations in both those matches, Paraguay and Australia in particular, when they tried to level up the game or level the score by getting you yellow cards, getting you frustrated, getting you to react. And we said, we're past all that.
All right. So I think what's interesting is, my guess is that this is going to be a first half. Let's just go first half, where Balogun's going to get like 9 touches on the ball, because I just don't think Bosnia is going to stretch themselves out in this first half. I think they
don't predict that. Don't predict that. I don't want to see that. Come on.
Well, listen, we scored an early goal in all 3 of our games, right? Within the first 10 minutes. At some point, we're going to run into a half where it doesn't work out like that. Long may that continue. I hope it continues throughout the whole tournament, but we're going to run into it. I think Bosnia is aware of it. Let's just get it to 0-0 at half, and then we can almost play the way that we want to play after that. But I could just see Balogun not having as much. Not saying you can still have influence without touching the ball, right? You can still create space for others, or you can get something up over the top. Just going to have minimal touches. I hope I'm wrong. I think Weston McKennie becomes very important. We haven't brought him up yet, but I think he can be really vital in this particular game to continue to create that movement, to pull people out of space, whether to get the ball in behind where Des gets it wide and he can run into that channel and keep flow central, or vice versa. He can go to the other side and try to combine to create space and get it from Jedi or whatever it may be. I think Weston, and also joining the attack late on crosses. If we're hitting some early crosses in, Weston's fantastic at that. And I think he's been one of our best players of the tournament, if not the best player. So here's the question, because we could get into this and dive into it a lot. So Tones, I'm coming to you first. And for everybody listening as well, Chuck, of course, chime in here. How many minutes do you give Christian? Who are our subs off the bench? Like, where are you kind of on that in-game management, Big Tones? And I guess let's start with Christian, because he's been rested. He got 30 minutes. He looked bright all 30 minutes. So do you risk him all 90? And if that's the case, or do you not? And
Jimmy, don't talk about risk, Jimmy, when it's a knockout game. It's you win or you lose.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why there's no risking. A little bit.
There's no rolling the dice. You do whatever you can to win.
Sure.
I give him 90 or 120 and penalty whatever it takes to win the game. Right?
There's no guarantees here of saving guys.
All right,
you got to win.
Those painkillers are good.
Yeah, I see this quote here. I see this. If we're up 3 or 4, that would be awesome. If that were the case, then I could understand you would take him, but I'm not quite sure that that's what it's going to look like. You go 90. So same lineup, guys off the bench, and I'm looking at the guys maybe that played last game. I feel like even though Gio Reyna had a poor game in my estimation, or I should say, Gio Reyna, for me, against Turkey, had an uninvolved game, right? He was not involved all that much. Didn't have a bunch of, poor giveaways, anything like that, but uninvolved. I am a little bit concerned with Trusty. We still don't know, what his status is, because I thought he did enough that if we need a center back, where McKenzie didn't do enough for me in that match. Berhalter is a guy that I think we're going to see on the field, right? I thought he was outstanding. Him and Weston McKennie were the two best players for me against Turkey, and we spoke about it. I'm not sure that Aronson comes in. I still think Ricardo Pepi is in the good graces of Mauricio Pochettino, even though he maybe didn't have his best game. Those are the guys. And I left out Timothy Weah because I don't know about you. I had going into that game, I mentioned it. Coming into the competition, I mentioned how important he would be. I said prior to the game, I thought it needed to be a big game for him. It was not a big game for Timothy Weah, and I just wonder what's going on with him right now, because he doesn't look the same player to me.
Yeah, his confidence is low. All right, we're going to take our last break. We'll answer some more questions. We got a little mailbag segment as we do here on the show, so don't go anywhere.
You need your sports news all the time?
We've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ hits every highlight from all the sports that matter to you.
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
CBS Sports HQ, streaming free 24/7.
Follow all the action this summer on the Golasso Network with 48 nations. Your one stop for all things 2026 FIFA World Cup. Join the entire CBS Sports Golasso Network crew for full coverage throughout the tournament. Fans can expect 12 hours of live programming each day during the World Cup between Morning Footy, Golasso Matchday, and Scoreline. We've got you covered on the Golasso Network and the Golasso YouTube pages. And the first episode of Coast to Coast with Nico Contour doing a World Cup road trip around the country is available. He's doing 41 days across the country. What a beast. Scan that QR code on your screen to watch episode 1 of California, where the journey began with the U.S. men's national team. All right, welcome back into the show. We're in the stretch run here. World Cup mailbag is what we're calling this one. And Chuck, I'm coming to you first on this. This is from William. Assuming the U.S. men's national team makes it to the round of 16, do you think we have a better chance of success in 2030?
Yes, I do. I keep hearing from coaches in the youth program and executives. I mean, Aguchi Onyewu would tell me, Charlie, the pipeline is crazy. So much talent is coming through. So much talent is being developed. And I think U.S. Soccer has turned a page and saying, hey, we're going to get the best coach for the job. And so if we keep developing coaches, I hope that we continue to develop top coaches. And with this talent, I don't see why we would peak and then drop down. I think we're just going to keep riding this wave and keep moving forward. And the World Cup has been phenomenal for our country across the board. It's been a 10 out of 10 in every single way. It's been a dream. And I think with that inspiration around the sport, it's not something that's going to die. And I think it's just going to continue to fuel us to be a footballing nation.
I think what's interesting is I've heard from friends as well, who one of my friends had a kid who's like 6 or 7, only wanted to play baseball. But since the World Cup has started, now he's outside kicking the ball against the wall, and his dad is saying that he's like, I'm Flo Balogun, and he's out there kicking the ball against the wall. And I'm like, that's it. That is exactly it. And to your point, how do we harness all of that energy towards creating and having an infrastructure that can find these kids, develop these kids, and make sure that they are brought along?
Hey, funny cats in the chat is spot on. If the U.S. get to a semifinal in this World Cup, it's a wrap. It's signed, sealed, delivered. It is a wrap. If this group gets to a semifinal in this World Cup, which means they have to get through Bosnia, Belgium or Senegal, Spain or Portugal, oh my God, it's a wrap. It is a wrap.
You would inspire so many kids to want to be a part of this moving forward. And Tones, we took someone from the CBS Sports family to her first ever World Cup game, and now her name's Courtney. She's fantastic behind the scenes for us. But tell everybody what she said after that game, or what she's doing now, doing with her boy.
She said the next day that they're like a football family, an American football family, and she was literally in tears. I mean, she's been listening to us jackasses for a couple of years, right? Talk about this game, and she didn't realize the passion that there was. Which one was it, Jimmy? Was it Norway?
It was Norway-Senegal.
Norway-Senegal game. Yeah. Yes, she took the ride with us and put her kids immediately in the game, because she just talked about the passion and sort of we walked out, Chuck, right after the game. So we were in the middle of the fans. Jimmy and I, Marcelo and Courtney we were in the middle of the fans, and she was loving every minute of it. Like she didn't, because, it's a little bit different than away fans at an NFL game. Probably the whole family goes to NFL games all the time. I'm guessing that the two supporters groups don't necessarily agree with each other after a game, right? They don't necessarily get along. And she was just amazed. She came back. She was literally telling us in tears, like, my son's playing soccer. He wants to play soccer. He sees the passion in this. We see the passion in it. This is what we want him to be involved in. Man, I told you before the competition, there are I used Christian Pulisic as the example, just because most people know him, right? He's the most well-known. There are still people who didn't know who Christian Pulisic was prior to this competition. And they'll never forget him now for the rest of his life. Him and a bunch of other guys. I could throw other names in there too. They won't forget these guys, man, forever. And they have a chance to do something that is really, really special in our sport. Can they get to a semifinal? Yeah, they can. I'm looking at these teams. Have you been? I'm going to preempt this.
Only France has really impressed me, to be honest.
Don't tell me Argentina hasn't impressed you.
Argentina's been good too.
Are you crazy?
But
Netherlands has actually been pretty good too.
I think the Netherlands. But are there five teams?
So
are there 5 teams or 6 teams or 8 teams in this World Cup that you feel like they're so far ahead of the U.S. right now? I don't. And I don't think that's U.S. glasses I'm putting on, right? Argentina and France, for me, are head and shoulders above all these other teams. Doesn't mean they're going to win. We all picked them to get to the final. Chuck, I don't know who you picked in your bracket. That's Jimmy and I did them yesterday.
I said it's coming home.
Yeah. Oh, you did? Oh, I couldn't see it.
I hope that's a reverse thing. That better be a reverse thing.
God, I pray to the soccer gods that it doesn't happen, because they will be insufferable forever.
No.
But But yeah, can it happen? Yeah, of course it can happen. Would it be what you bet your house on right now? Probably not. But you wouldn't. I don't know that I would be overly surprised if it happened.
All right. So next question.
Did we all pick Argentina and France for a final?
I did, and I picked France to win it.
Yeah,
I had France winning 3-2.
I think we all picked. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to get away from them. They're just so deep.
They've been playing so well.
Yeah. No, they have been playing. They're so deep, right? Mbappe doesn't score one game. It doesn't matter. Dembele scores threes instead. It's ridiculous. All right. Question here. Chuck, I'll come to you on this one. Which U.S. men's national team player's stock has risen the most so far at the World Cup?
All right. Let's start off with most of them have went up. Right? Most of them. I think the player whose stock has risen the most is Flo Balogun. I think Balogun, considering what he's done at Monaco this season, what he's done in Champions League, he had a big season in Ligue 1, right? And then he moved to Monaco and had a little bit of a dip, came back up. But people probably were still unsure of just where he was because this season he's had some injuries, but he's been pretty solid. Now, all the Americans know just how good he is at the moment, but it feels like across the globe, they moved on from their coach at Monaco. It feels like he's ready for that next step of being an elite striker. His name had been rumored before the World Cup. Now I think he's going to be on the move, and his stock went through the roof.
Yeah, well, we heard from Tom Bogert recently that some Premier League clubs are interested in him. We didn't get any hardcore names. We'll have to wait and see on that one. But yeah, hopefully he continues to play well because you got to have a hot striker to win this competition unless you're France in 2018 and Olivier Giroud didn't score. For me, I'm going to say either Alex Freeman. He was already kind of on that trajectory, so maybe he's already going that way. But I feel like he's just taking
he just made his move to Villarreal, so his stock couldn't go that high. Yeah,
true. I just feel like
he's
better
impressed. 100%.
Right.
He's played well and he's impressed. But as far as his stock, he was at Villarreal, just went there. He's not going anywhere.
No, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, so then let's go. Sebastian Berhalter is my other one, where he's out of his contract at the end of the season with Vancouver. Now he's got leverage. I think he's played well. He's done a lot with his minutes and proved that he can hold his own, which is all you can ask for at this level of competition. So I think in terms of improving his stock, it's probably gone way up. I don't know if that's going to lead into any giant clubs over in Europe or anywhere else, but I think he's improved his stock.
The comments have some great choices. I mean, Trusty is a good one, right?
I saw Malik Tillman in there as well. What do you say, Tones?
I'm gonna give you one that his stock was already up, which makes it hard to give it a more of a boost. But I think Weston McKennie has been out of this universe with the way this isn't even. He was always good for the national team, and of course we all know his Juventus story. Man, for me, and Malik Tillman is another one, and Berhalter, that midfield, these guys have been incredible. But Weston McKennie, for me, man, he has been at a completely different level than we've seen him in the past, in my estimation.
All right, a couple things before we let everybody go, because we're nearing the end of the show. There's a poll. Should Jimmy wear the same match day fit again? Now, I've been wearing a pretty accessorized outfit. I thought maybe I should change it because we lost to Turkey. Right now, they're saying yes, America, 65%. No, time to rotate is 35%. So maybe I'm rocking the same thing, which Tones loves. He loves looking at me in my silly sunglasses and outfit.
Maybe who's this travel? Maybe just wash it this time. That's all.
That's
true.
I probably should wash it. All right, yeah. You're revealing too much if I smell it like that. All right, all the other news. We're having our live show for the game. We're having a pre-show like we've been doing and a post-game show. It's going to be live in Chicago at the Recess. So if you live there, it's at 838 W Kinsey Street. We're going to be going live at 6 Central Wednesday night.
Chi-Town.
Me, Chuck, Marcelo Balboa, Big Tones, and Mackenzie Brooks will be there as well. We got a full boat. It's going to be a lot of fun. So if you're in Chi-Town or nearby Chi-Town, come hang out with us at the Recess Chicago on Wednesday at 6 Central. It should be a lot of fun. And if you can't, come join us here on the Glosso America YouTube channel or on the Glosso Network. We'd really appreciate that. All right, last thing now. Score predictions. I'll go first. I got 1-0 to the U.S. We're going to get a clean sheet. It might be a nail biter, but we're going to end up getting where we want to go, which is the round of 16. Chuck, what do you say? 3-1. Wow, I love
3-1.
it. 3-1. We're scoring early then, huh? Setting the tone.
No, we don't necessarily have to score early, but I think we score a number of goals. I think this team is buzzing right now. They're going to create a lot of opportunities. Remember, they just played Qatar in the last round of the group stage. They gave up, and it's a must-win game. They gave up a lot of chances.
Yeah, they did. They did.
There's a lot of space between the back line and midfield.
Yeah.
They some players will dive in, some players will drop. So I think given that, we're going to be doing some real bullying.
I love that.
This game.
I would take a 3-1 in a heartbeat. How about you, Big Tones?
Yeah, I'm going to go. I was going to go 3-1. I was going to go 2-little game, but I'm going to go 2-0. 1 goal for each person's face that Buckets is going to get tattooed on his body.
I love that. Buckets.
Yep, that's where I'm going. 2-0.
All right, 2-0, 1-0, 3-1, all in favor of the U.S. We absolutely love it. And then I guess there's a photo they put together of my new match day outfit for everybody watching on the Gloss America YouTube channel. What does this look like? I'm curious.
What did Ives go with here?
I don't know. I feel like they got something. Maybe they don't.
Soccer by Ives.
Yeah. What did he come up with? It's going to be something ridiculous. Now we're hanging in alerts here for everybody listening on the podcast. We have no idea.
Come on, Soccer by Ives. Let's go.
Maybe there's nothing coming. I don't know. All right. So apparently StreamYard is not working right now, but that's it. We're calling it a show. Thank you for hanging out with us as always. I'm going to wear what I'm going to wear, and it's not going to matter. We're still going to win. So thanks for hanging out with us. If you're in Chicago, come join us on Wednesday night. And if not, we'll get you on the post-game show afterwards. Later.